It is WrestleMania week, folks, but it is the most unusual WrestleMania week that we've ever been a part of. I'm Kevin Michie, joined by Jimmy Korderas, a former WWE ref of 20 plus years. Jimmy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good here in self-quarantine or whatever you want to call it, in isolation. But luckily, my wife and I get along well, so it's not an issue.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
My fiance and I, we've come together quite nicely. But as we all kind of self-isolate, we bring everybody together for this WrestleMania preview. The day we're taping this, it is the anniversary of WrestleMania #1, and we come all the way to WrestleMania 36. And have you heard, it's the WrestleMania too big for just one night. We have 2 nights of WrestleMania, Saturday, April 4th, Sunday, April 5th. Jimmy, what are your initial thoughts? What were your initial thoughts when you heard we have not 1, but 2 nights of the Mania?
Again, it's one of those deals where it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I was kind of looking forward to the old, well, I don't want to even say old, kind of like last year where you have TakeOver the night before, and then you have WrestleMania on the Sunday. So you're still kind of getting 2 nights anyways. This way, at least it breaks it up a little bit, and you don't get all 7 hours of WrestleMania in one day. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you watch the Super Bowl and then you get to the halftime show, and that takes like as long as the game does. And by the time the halftime show is over, you're like, okay, I don't really care about the rest of the game. This way, it breaks it up a little bit, and I kind of like that, actually.
It's going to be nice because, the Super Bowl day, the coverage before the game is longer than the actual game itself. It gets going at 8 a.m. or something ridiculous like that. Okay, so the biggest storyline, I'd say, surrounding Mania, heading into it at least, I think it's the absence of Roman Reigns from the Universal Championship match. Roman Reigns, he has battled leukemia twice in his life, and due to health concerns, he's kind of watching out for himself, very understandably so. So he has removed himself from WrestleMania, not wanting to risk being anywhere near COVID-19. So we have an empty Universal Championship match, meaning there's an empty slot against Goldberg.
Yep.
Jimmy, what are your kind of initial thoughts surrounding this whole scenario?
Well, you know what? Tip of the hat to Roman Reigns for doing what he did. You know what? To be put in a spot like that where you're in one of the co-main events of WrestleMania and to bow out for the reasons he did, and all the right reasons too. And props to WWE for not, holding it against them. They're very, like, if that's the way you feel about it, we're behind you 100%. Do what you got to do. Because contrary to popular opinion, they do care about their talent. So, the welfare and safety of their talent. But that being said, it leaves an interesting opening. And of course, rumors are flying on who's going to replace him. I know who I would have liked to have seen.
Who do you think? Who do you like?
I would have liked to see, I'm not saying this is going to happen, and it probably won't, but if Drew McIntyre is going to be the next guy, and he's going to be the guy to defeat Brock Lesnar, I would have kind of liked to have seen him beat Brock on Saturday night, maybe, in the final match, and then have Goldberg come out to close WrestleMania on Sunday night saying, look, Roman Reigns is a chicken, he bowed out, he didn't want to face, do the full heel thing, and then have Drew come out and say, look, I took care of one beast. Now I got to take care of you, and unify those titles or something along those lines. Because if you really want to make Drew that next guy, man, beating the Beast and Goldberg in consecutive nights and unifying championships, I think that would work in my world anyway.
Jimmy Korderas, you're the ultimate booker, I'd say. And also, I thought you were going to do the Drew McIntyre Scottish accent when he came out to challenge Goldberg. That would have been some sweet, sweet internet content. Okay, so the WWE title is also up for grabs. As you mentioned, we have Brock Lesnar taking on Drew McIntyre. Now, who do you think is going to come out on top? I know you kind of just alluded to the fact that it would be cool to have Drew challenge for both titles. So are you feeling McIntyre over Lesnar here?
Yeah, I am. And despite the fact that it would have been a cool moment in front of 70,000 people inside of the stadium, at the same time, yes, you're going to miss that moment. But I think if you delay the Drew McIntyre defeating the Beast and going on to be anointed as the next one, which Vince saw 12 years ago, whenever it was when Drew first.
He was the chosen one that long ago. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they saw it in him then. He went away. He found himself. He's back, and he he's got it. Sometimes it takes you a little longer to get it in this business. And now that he's older and wiser, he gets it. And we could see that Brock seems more than willing to help the process along. I mean, like the stuff they did the other week on Raw, where he took him out with the 3 Claymore kicks and stuff like that, and watching Brock sell for him the way he does. I have a feeling this match is going to be one of those ones that surprises a lot of people.
Yep, it's been the build up to this match is just it's a real chef's kiss. It's looked awesome. I'm with you. I think that it's time for McIntyre to be anointed that guy. And then there's so many places you can go with him too. He's just been so good lately. You mentioned that it's going to be kind of unfortunate that Drew's not going to be able to celebrate in front of 70,000 plus fans, and I kind of feel that way about this match as well, that being a returning Edge taking on Randy Orton. Edge comes back after 9 years away, and this WrestleMania moment, it was right there, but then all of a sudden no fans in attendance. Having said that, Jimmy, the build to this match has been superb. It has been fantastic. What do you think?
Totally agree, 100%. I mean, like, happy to see Edge back, a good friend from, I guess, kind of hometown, Orangeville. We'll call it hometown. Anyways,
hometown, yeah.
But just listening to the promo. See, there's an old saying in wrestling where, you can be great in the ring and you could be fantastic and flashy and all that stuff, but the whole goal is to talk people into the seats, talk them into wanting to buy a ticket, talk them into tuning in to see what happens next. Randy Orton and Edge have both been masters at the promos leading up to this thing. And what they have done is told a masterful story leading into this and getting me, at least, and hopefully others, invested into why we want to see this match take place. It's I hate to say it, it's not old school 101, but it's old school meets new school in the best way possible, I think. And yes, I think without a crowd there, it may hamper a little bit, because it let's face it, you're performing in front of a live crowd, you're getting that immediate feedback, that immediate reaction, which kind of tells you we're doing something right, or hey, look, they're not buying into this, let's change gears a little bit. But at the same time, it also gives them a little freedom to do what they want to do. And again, here's two guys that are going to, I think, knock it out of the park.
I'm looking forward to it either way, without fans, with fans. They have talked me into making that an appointment viewing match. So I want to see that thing very badly. Okay, there are 3 women's titles up for grabs at WrestleMania. It's the first time that's ever happened. Let's start with the Raw Women's Championship. Will Becky Lynch's 1-year reign as Raw Women's Champion come to an end when she takes on Shayna Baszler, Jimmy?
I don't think so, but at the same time, I'm feeling that both women right now are lacking something going into this. And I hate to put it this way, like Becky, with all that momentum she had going into last year's WrestleMania, something, and I can't put my finger on it, but something is missing since then, if that makes sense. I don't wish harm on anybody, but it's almost like you want to see Nia Jax punch her in the nose again, because once that happened, like that's where that launched her. And I don't want to see anybody get their nose broken or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, but she needs that fire back. She needs that passion back, because what happened after that, the Becky Lynch I saw after that incident, is the Becky I want to see now. I don't want to see this Kill Bill version of Becky Lynch and driving semis and stuff like that. That doesn't appeal to me personally. I want to see that a more real version, if that makes sense.
I understand that. It almost seems like what they're trying to put in front of us is a poor version of Stone Cold Steve Austin driving different things to the arena every night, whether it be a semi truck or whatever. I think you're right. I think that she is missing a little something. It'd be nice to see her get that fire back. Is there fire between the NXT champion Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair? Any fire there for you? Do you like that matchup?
I like the matchup from a purely in-ring standpoint, because yes, Charlotte is one of the best women athletes out there, if not the best on the roster right now. And Rhea Ripley is an up-and-comer. She's still young. She's still learning. And who better to learn from than Charlotte? There's going to be a lot of pressure on her to keep up. As good as she is, it's still going to be upon her to keep up with Charlotte.
Does it help Rhea Ripley that she won't be performing in front of 70,000 people then?
Yes and no. Yes, that she won't have that added pressure on having that crowd, but at the same time, like I said earlier, you don't get that immediate feedback, so you don't know. You know what I mean? You have to wait till afterwards to see if what you did worked, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. Last women's matchup is the SmackDown Women's title, just kind of a smorgasbord of wrestlers all thrown in there. You have the champion, Bayley, taking on Lacey Evans, Naomi, Tamina, and Sasha Banks. Do you have a lot of interest in this one, Jimmy?
Unfortunately, I wish I could say I do, but I don't. And part of it is because I'm just not buying Bayley as a heel right now. I don't feel that fits her. And, it goes to that old adage, Stone Cold used to talk about the best personalities in wrestling are the ones that are themselves cranked up to 11. You know what I mean? And Bayley just does not come across to me as a heel. She's better suited as a babyface, in my opinion. And the heel thing seems forced.
Maybe this is an opportunity then to turn Bayley, or maybe Sasha Banks captures the championship and then we get the long-awaited main roster rivalry between a champion Sasha Banks and a challenger in Bayley. Perhaps there's an opportunity there, Jimmy Korderas. Okay, there's kind of three other noteworthy matchups that I'd like to touch on with you, Jimmy. The first one, AJ Styles versus The Undertaker in the ever dangerous Boneyard match. Jimmy, have you ever refed a Boneyard match?
A different kind of Boneyard match, but that had to do with dominoes. But that's a completely different story altogether on a bus overseas once. But anyway, here's an opportunity where the WWE get very creative outside the confines of a ring and take advantage of a situation where there is no audience. So they, whether it is a mock graveyard or cemetery setting or an actual one, that's where this match, I believe, is taking place. And there you go. You can get creative in this, and you have the Undertaker, who, man, did he talk about promos? He cut one hell of a promo on Monday night. That's for sure. Absolutely, so that's the dead man I love to see. The old school, almost American badass Taker. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get a kind of like a blend of old dead man and biker Taker and stuff like that. But I think this is going to be another one that's going to surprise a lot of people, and you can use a lot of smoke and mirrors here, and it wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be like teleporting throughout a thing. But anyway, I digress.
We won't touch on that much.
No.
Another matchup that's it's pretty intriguing is we have John Cena taking on the Fiend Bray Wyatt. This matchup, it really just spawned really quickly, and people seem to have gravitated, saying that, like, yeah, I think I could be interested in this one. What do you think?
Yeah, they made me interested in it again because of somebody like a Bray Wyatt who is very creatively, really hitting on all cylinders right now, and I know some people don't like it, but I like the fact that it tied back to the WrestleMania match they had at WrestleMania 30 as being the seed that was planted for the genesis of the Fiend, if that makes sense. I like that they took it there and they're at least attempted to make a backstory out of this as opposed to just, hey, you're a legend from the past and I want to take you out kind of thing. So I always love. Yeah.
Sorry, Jimmy. I was just saying, I always love when WWE calls back to its old programming or former programming, giving myself, other viewers credit for watching through this entire time, because you're right. Calling back to WrestleMania 30, it makes things very interesting for me as well. Another super interesting match on the card, I think, Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. There's nothing really on the line, I guess, other than pride. Are you feeling this one?
From an in-ring standpoint, yes. As a diehard wrestling fan, yes. This one's going to have trouble appealing to the more broader audience that WrestleMania attracts to, because those of us who have bought into wrestling for years now and watch it as much as we do, we both know that Kevin Owens can deliver the goods, and so can Seth Rollins. And again, going back to the promo work, last week Seth Rollins cut one hell of a promo, which I hadn't seen from him in a while, that felt really coming from the heart. And Kevin Owens this past Monday, again, another hellacious promo. And, usually when you cut a promo in front of an audience, that's your target audience. But the fact that they're cutting it to the camera and talking to the viewer at home, and it seems to be coming from inside as opposed to something handed to you, so to speak. I like how the promos have been coming off, and they're giving the guys time to tell stories with their promos. And they did that with this one as well. So the match, again, from a hardcore wrestling fan standpoint, I'm looking forward to it. I know they will deliver from an in-ring standpoint.
So there's a whole lot of matches throughout 2 nights of action. I think 16 in total is what we're looking at. Did we miss anything? Did you want to touch on anything else, Jimmy? What are you truly looking forward to here?
I think for me, we already touched on it. I'm truly looking forward to the Edge and Randy Orton match because these guys are 2 masters at storytelling. Randy Orton right now is making a case. Lately, there's been this talk about the Mount Rushmore of WWE. And I know it's subjective and everybody has their own opinions, but man, Randy is making a case for getting chiseled out on that mountain, especially with his work in the last couple of years. So that one I'm really looking forward to.
Randy has been truly exceptional. Lastly, let's touch on this. Empty arena. There's always this talk of an empty arena match. I think when you think of a WWE empty arena match, you think of Mankind versus The Rock on Sunday Night Heat, halftime heat. Have you ever reffed in an empty arena match? What's it like?
No, I have never done one. I was actually there in Tucson, Arizona, where they did the empty arena match. We were all hiding in the back there and just watching on the monitor as they pretty much ran through the empty building. Not to make light of it, but during the early to mid 90s, when business was not quite as prosperous as it is now, there were some instances at house shows where the buildings were not quite very full, and there used to be the joke, "Hey, we're wrestling in front of an empty building right now," But I have never experienced it where it's completely empty with no reactions, but I haven't been put to pasture yet. You never know. Maybe one day. maybe they'll
call you out of the bullpen. They'll call for the right-hander and say, "Let's get Jimmy in here for the 1, 2, 3 once more." Yeah. Jimmy, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. WrestleMania, April 4th, April 5th on the WWE Network. Yep. And make sure to tune into Sportsnet's live blog coverage as well to get all your WrestleMania fixins. Jimmy, thanks so much, man.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for this was fun, man. I love, me. I love talking wrestling.
Good times. We'll talk to you guys soon.